Welcome back, boys and girls. This is going to be part 3 of building our identity and Martin integration. In this video is all going to be DevOps stuff, producing a Nuget package and publishing it to the Nuget package manager, the server. So first of all, we're going to do it manually, and then we're going to see how can we actually automate this whole process. So if you're interested in DevOps and using GitHub Actions and stuff like that, that's what we're going to be using today. I highly recommend you watch this video. So I am going to be utilizing a lot of documentation for this kind of stuff. You're not going to know everything off by heart. You're going to be looking things up, etc. So instead of reading things off a second screen, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going to the documentation so you can see where I'm getting this information from. Okay, so with that, don't forget, if you're enjoying the video, leave a like and subscribe. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section. Don't forget to check out the description. I have a C# course that is out. And yeah, with that, let's go ahead and get started. So here is our project. And if you're completely new to this, let's say when we build our application, I'll run .NET build here. What gets produced is this bin and obj folder. And when you're installing a Nuget package, this DLL gets added. So in order for the Nuget server to mediate these DLLs and the versions about them, they need a little bit of metadata. The way that this metadata is stored is in a new package file. All right. The way that you generate this new package file is if you would Google for creating a Nuget package, there's documentation about it. You run the .NET pack command, and that is going to produce your Nuget package. Okay, there is some additional metadata that we're going to need to set here, which we will do so in a minute. And again, I'm going to follow the documentation. Generally, you can open up any open source package and you can take a look at how they do it and copy it across. All right, and then over time you'll see, like, I want to edit this information, that information, and you will Google for the relevant parts. I don't need to teach you all of them. Okay, so let's see what happens when you do .NET pack. All right, so .NET pack that has now ran, and we now get a release folder. All right, in the release folder we get the new package file. So the new package is actually just a zip file. All right, because it is just a zip file, I can use an unzip program to unzip the zip file. So in the destination out folder. All right, so the out folder is created. All of the contents of the new package have been unzipped into here, and you will get things like this XML file, which is going to say, okay, the identity of this package is identity.martin. It has given me a default version of 1.0, set the authors, the description, the commit hash from the Git, etc. You can see that it's metadata about the library. All right, we then have something about the package, lib, and here's the DLL that will eventually be transported. All right. Because you may be packaging for many different versions like .NET 5, etc. All of these versions will be contained over here, if I remember correctly. But nevertheless, we're dealing with one version, so that doesn't, well, basically concern us too much. So anyway, we understand that this is the package. What I actually want to do, I don't want to publish 1.0.0 to the Nuget repository because that is a very precious version. You know, that's like your first release. I don't need some crappy code there as my first release. So let's go ahead and fill out some of this amazing information on here. All right. So there we have it. For the package ID, we're going to have identity Martin. Versioning on Nuget, if you go to concepts and package versioning, you're going to land on this page. Nuget uses something called semantic versioning, and if you look for, I think it's John Skeet, semantic versioning, it's a guy that's relatively known within the developer community. Some people don't know his name, but effectively he talks about semantic versioning, why it's important. So if you don't want to go ahead and read all this crap, and what semantic versioning is, hopefully people are aware of it, but we're going to be using semantic versioning, so I'm just going to prefix my version with alpha, and I'm just going to set it to 1, right? So dash alpha and .1. All right, so author name, let's get our name in here, Anton Wieslander. Company and product name don't matter so much. All right. Once we have this, let's go ahead, .NET pack. And again, once this has been packed, let's again unzip it. And this is just a way that once you are, and sorry about this, I have a different version now, right? This is just a way to verify that when you're producing the Nuget package, you can actually look inside of it and the stuff that I have set inside my CS project file actually makes it over here, okay? And that is how then internally an XML file, you can just have an application that consumes an XML file and start extracting information from here, okay? So you know how to interact with this stuff. Anyway, we have the package. So the first manual process would be to just go and upload the package yourself. So I will go into a new tab over here and I'm going to go to manage packages. I'm going to add a new one and just upload one. So you can see what I have to do here is trail all the way to this Nuget package. I can probably drag and drop it on there, but let's go ahead and open it. And looks like we don't have a license. We have a README missing. So Nuget will tell you some information about your package that isn't there and will effectively do some validation on your package. But anyway, I can go ahead and submit this and there we go. Now my package is available on Nuget, right? You can make any crap package and just, start putting it on Nuget. This is meant to be just a manual upload. Now, Nuget server, the Nuget repository will have an API endpoint that you can access and you can actually send or upload your package using the command line. Revolutionary technology, never seen before. For this, you would have to go and create your API key. So I'm going to go ahead and create one, probably blur, cut, do some movie magic here, okay? I'm going to put identity Martin here. I'm not going to scope it to any package and just put a star over here. So just glob it to everything, all right? Let's go ahead, create. And it's pretty cool that it doesn't actually display my secret, right? So anyway, always keep your API secrets secure and you want to use nuget.exe to push your application. I'm going to leave it up to you. Hopefully you understand how to know how to download a program onto your computer. You've managed to download the internet, a browser, right? You're probably going to be capable of downloading a Nuget executable and getting the Nuget command line over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and clear this. We're going to come back to the browser. We're going to go to create a Nuget package. We're going to go to the publish Nuget packages section and publish to Nuget. So publish a package. This is going over the manual upload, which is what I just did. But basically what I'm going to try to do here is, well, look for some kind of command that I can copy paste and, well, just use. So, yep, let's go ahead and copy this, come back, and this alpha 1, because we already have the alpha 1 version, what I will do is I'll actually bump this up to alpha 2. It doesn't need any changes. All I want to make sure is that it's actually going to publish the new version, right? So if I output this like this, I will actually first need to .NET pack. So I'm going to need to build a new version, and this should produce alpha 2 right there. Now this Nuget package right at the beginning here. Well, let's go ahead and, well, replace it with ours. So identity alpha 2 new package. All right. For the API key over here, I am going to have to get rid of it, put my API key in place, and I'm probably going to blur my terminal at this point, okay? And the package has been pushed. So I'm just going to clear the terminal at this point so I don't have to blur anymore. We're going to go back to Nuget, the packages. So just in the manage packages, we're going to go to published packages. Here we have identity Martin. It still says 0.0 alpha 1. So chances are the new version did get uploaded, but what's actually happening is it's going to take some time to update. So I'm just going to sit here and wait, cut the video when the version gets updated. If it doesn't, we're going to start debugging. This is what happens when you refresh too often. You get rate limited. Okay, there we have it. So the version 2 is there. We can say the command is good, the API key works. What's the next step? Well, the next step is to not have to run the command yourself, but rather have a computer run the command. And what better place to do that than GitHub workflows, right? Just have one of those build VMs spin up, build your package, ship it, and all good. So that's what we're going to do. For this, I have 2 pages over here where we're going to basically refer to this to try to help us build our pipeline. YAML files can be a pain in the neck. Hopefully, I'm not going to be tortured too much. But first of all, let's go ahead into settings of the repository. We're going to go into secrets and variables for the actions, and we're going to create a new repository secret. So this is going to be a new package, or rather Nuget API key. I'm going to paste my key into here and cut the video here. Here is my secret, nothing too complicated just yet. We're going to go into the workflow syntax. We're going to read that you must store workflow files in GitHub workflows. So let's go ahead, take this, come back to identity Martin, and in the root of our repository, we are going to, let's say, if I can remember the keybind, we will add a, let's just say a file, which is going to be workflows. I'll call it publish YAML, okay? This is going to create my GitHub folder with workflows, and in here publish.yaml will be found. All right, so you can see here a writer is already helping me with some syntax highlighting. It says, you're missing this stuff, dude. I know what GitHub wants and you need this. So indeed, we do need this stuff. On will say when this workflow will run, and jobs will say what do you actually want to do. So first of all, let's set the name. So right at the top, name, publish, Nuget package. The simplest thing for now is to actually use a manual trigger. So I'm going to go into on. So in the on section, let's go and check out the events that trigger workflows. So things like opening a pull request or creating a release or a push. So whenever you're pushing new changes, all of these things can trigger a workflow to run. What I want to do is I want to trigger it manually. And I just know that, for example, workflow dispatch, to enable a workflow to be triggered manually, you need to configure workflow dispatch. All right. So we're just going to say that we want to trigger this on workflow dispatch, and that's pretty much it. What do we actually want to do? And by the way, if you're thinking, man, you just know that workflow dispatch is there. How do I find out about this? So it's going to sound silly, but you start from the top and you start reading. Runs your workflow when XYZ, runs your workflow when ABC, and do I want this? Nope, nope, nope. Or you use ChatGPT or you use Google. Okay, that is how I get my information. So once we have triggered or registered the trigger that we're going to do it manually, now I actually want to set up my jobs. So I'm going to go to jobs, and here is an example of having 2 jobs. I think I will only need 1. So let's go ahead and put my first job over here. This will again be publish, or just publish, because the whole thing is called publish Nuget package. So publish Nuget package is the job. And then inside the job, you can have steps. So where is the job actually going to be run? That is very important. So let's go ahead and place this here. So it runs on Ubuntu latest, and then the steps. So we can configure the name for the step and then what script to run. So this is partly why MacBook can be really good. If you're using Windows, this is why you would want to use WSL. If you saw me use the command like unzip, unzip can be present on the build machine. So if I know this how to use this command locally, chances are I'm going to have no problems building up one of these scripts because, well, I already know all of the available tools. All right. Which steps do we want to run? First of all, what we need to do is package the application. So let's copy this over here. You can see the indentation got messed up a little bit, so I'm going to unindent this. I don't need any environment variables. Let's go ahead and package package. I don't want to say package, so we're just going to do pack, okay? Instead of this command, .NET pack, and what do we pack? Do we pack the whole solution? You got to understand that from the beginning, you're going to be in this root directory looking out over here. So if we are in lib and we run .NET pack, nothing's going to happen. If we are in the solution, .NET pack, let's see what actually gets packed. And it actually looks like only identity Martin will get packed. Let's double check that our tests don't get packed. So nothing over here. If we look in bin release, yeah, I would assume only identity Martin will get packed. However, I would say that it is still safe to pack from within this directory. So you actually want to be in here rather than the solution. So here, when we're in the solution, we need to go into lib. All right, so .NET pack -- help, we should be able to specify a directory or a location. Looking. Oh, and you can also actually specify the output variable here. And okay, so you just supply a directory here. So let's say, because when I was in lib, it didn't let me do .NET pack. So this will be a good way to verify that. Look, if I specify the project folder, yeah, it's actually going to find the project and be able to pack it. So if I'm going to be in the root directory, doing something like this, where I want to navigate to lib and pack this library, that should be sufficient. All right. Another thing that you can supply over here is the configuration flag. So for example, we want to pack release. All right. And obviously I gotta back out once if I want this to work. And there we have it. Let's go ahead, take this, copy, place this over here. This should produce our artifact. After we have produced our artifact, we want to go ahead and publish. For this, I'm going to scroll up here, which is going to reveal my secret. So what I will actually do is cut this part, but what I'm doing is I'm just extracting the command. The command has been extracted successfully. One thing to note here is that we have identity Martin and we're specifying the version. Does that mean that anytime I want to publish a new package, do I need to update my workflow? No, that doesn't mean that. Whoever was building .NET Nuget, they will account for this kind of thing. So .NET Nuget push -- help. If we take a look at the arguments that we have to supply here, so specify the path to the package. So the interesting thing that you can specify about this package is, or the path to the package, is that it can be glob. So instead of doing a file in the directory as we've done it before, we want to say, okay, publish a Nuget package and actually publish, what's it called? Any Nuget package in any folder. But here we only have one package that we're publishing, not many. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, look for a specific package somewhere over here. Okay. And again, if I opt in for doing something like this, where I am, where was I in the solution? I was in the solution over here. I can say, look, from the root directory, let's go ahead and output this to the out folder. And specifying the / at the beginning was a mistake. That would put it in the root. If I specify out, that is actually going to produce it here. Okay, so I can have the out folder here, and sometimes this is preferable. If, for example, I'm building 10 packages, I'm going to put them all into output. Have I actually built all the packages and aggregated all of the relevant packages that I wanted under the same folder? So then I don't have to mess about to picking between my test projects, other projects that I want to publish, support projects, reusable shared libraries, etc. I just do something like this, where I can do things like ls, where ls would list the files in the current directory. So this overall could just help debug things and organize things a little bit easier during your pipeline. All right. We pack things up, we put them into the .output folder. Again, to kind of run this here, you will have something like this. So .output again produces alpha 2.0 according to the version. All right. So we are going to delete this. We're going to delete out. And since we're now using this .output in our package, or sorry, in our pipeline. We potentially may use it for testing. You don't want to accidentally commit it. All right, so what I'm going to do is add it to git ignore. Now for the API key that I have managed to remove over here, what do I actually want to place? If we come back to the workflow section, I also have a variables section under learning GitHub Actions variables. Here it will say you don't want your, well, secrets being unmasked. If you have secrets, store them as secrets and use them as secrets, and then GitHub will basically give them special care, meaning that whenever it's trying to output a secret or print it, it is going to hide the value. All right, so let's go to using secrets, and we don't care about some of the stuff. There are basically some constraints. What we really care about is maybe seeing a code snippet that looks something like this, or perhaps even like this, where we can input the super secret. All right, so let's grab the environment over here. When we run this command, let's indent this a couple of times, and I believe do something like this. So when we're publishing for the for this command, we're gonna have the API key, and the way that we have named this Nuget API key is like this, or I failed to copy, like this, and then we can place this over here. All right, if you're wondering about this, again, if you're using Linux or a MacBook, basically a bash terminal, you're gonna be familiar with this. So you can have test hello, echo $test, or perhaps just output $test. You're gonna try to use this command hello, right? But this is a variable that is now just created with this value, and that's what I'm doing over here. All right, it's gonna be just this value that I can now template into my commands. So there we have it. One manual step that we are gonna have to take here is bump the version up. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna do the commit over here. Take a look at the changes. So I have the .output over here. I have the alpha 3 over here, and I have publish YAML as well. So let's just say GitHub publish workflow, commit this, push. The changes should make it over to the repository. So here is the GitHub workflows, and here is the YAML file. All right. Now, if you go into actions, you should be able to find the publish Nuget package, which is, again, maybe a little bit easier if I go over here and publish.yaml, publish Nuget package right over here, right? So that's the same name. This is the dispatch. So workflow dispatch gives you this run workflow button, and which branch you want to run it from. Main. This is the only branch that we have. Let's go ahead, run this workflow, and see if we push an update of our package. And there we have it, 13 seconds to fail. That is pretty fast feedback. Usually runs for 5 minutes. You gotta go watch a YouTube video, halfway stop, remember to check back. You know, it can be a disaster. 13 seconds has been pretty amazing. All right, so we failed to pack. Error process completed. From the MS build, we get an error, project file does not exist. So why would a project file not exist? You would think that when this thing runs, when this computer boots up and starts executing commands, it would have the repository for which it's running, but that's not the case. I know this from experience. Not sure if this information would be found somewhere over here. Maybe it will. We do see checkout being used in places, but it's not obvious why this command is doing what it's doing, but that is what we're going to need. So maybe let's take a look over here, build and test .NET. Let's see, so you go into actions, and yeah, so here would give you an example, and I don't know if it ever explains this GitHub action called checkout. Well, it really doesn't, but basically this is the thing that is going to pull your code. Okay, so let's come back over here. We're going to say uses action checkout. This should pull the code, and you will see other things over here saying setup.net, actions setup.net version 3. Most of the time, 99% of the time, the tool comes pre-installed with the correct version and basically correctly available tools, right? .NET is pretty available, all of this stuff, Java, etc. All of this will already be there for you to use. However, sometimes you want to basically pin to a specific version, etc. This is how you make sure that the correct tool is being configured for you. So let's go ahead, grab it. We may not need it, and actually, let's do this. I'm not going to paste it in just yet. Let's see if it will just work. So at checkout, let's go ahead, push this. We're gonna come back to actions over here, and you can always go to GitHub workflows, double check the publish, and whoop-de-doo, checkout is right there. So back to actions, select the workflow, and run it. And there we have it. Publish Nuget package has succeeded. If we take a look at it, we can see the individual steps. So hopefully somebody who's experienced isn't watching this, because what are you doing? Maybe you just enjoy my videos, but you're wondering, shouldn't you have a restore build steps separate from the pack? And what's the usefulness of that anyway? So it's useful if restore fails, you basically know which step is failing, right? So you want to split your pipeline up into various steps. So this is why you will have commands like, if I come back over here, .NET pack -- help, in here you will see no build, because in the pipeline what you're going to do is you're going to first restore, you're going to build, and once you're building the solution, you run your tests. But after restoring and when you're running the test, you don't need to build it again, right? So for example, .NET build -- help. When you're building, you can say that you don't want to restore. So if your solution is super big, you don't want to just .NET pack and be wondering where it failed. Are you downloading a non-existing package or a missing package from Nuget? Is your build failing, or is the pack failing, right? So split it up into segments, which makes sense. If you want to split up different build steps, potentially you're like, is it worth the headache? No, at that point, probably not. But anyway, as I'm rumbling, with the package, we supplied alpha version alpha 3. Let's check if it's available somewhere over here. And there we have it. So alpha 3 is now available. And if you're wondering what's the significance of alpha 3, so hopefully maybe I'll be able to show you. So if I put the package into here, aspnetcore identity Martin, that's not my package. I don't know. Somebody else made this. Okay. So you will see that identity Martin is not found here, but if I take pre-release, it's going to be able to find it. And there is my package. So alpha 3 is not available here. However, it is available on this website here. So once it's ready, once it's good and ready, it's going to be available over here. All right. But that's what pre-release does. So while you have -alpha.2 or -whatever dot some kind of build iteration, it's not going to show up as part of the main feed, and that's what you want. So once it's good and ready to release, you can go ahead and publish it. Otherwise, you can actually download it this way to test it, okay? Or make it available to other people to test. I would say perhaps maybe one final frontier left is, how can we substitute this version value over here without having to do it manually? There are things that you can use. Read file, look for string, replace, templating. I mean, it's nothing new, right? We can do something like this. I'm probably going to use the tool set for this. Special libraries exist. I would say, why do you need to go so far as getting a special library for it? There are special SEM version libraries as well that are available, where the metadata that you're stamping onto your commits can be available to you in your pipeline through different variables, which I'm going to be honest, it's basically a couple of videos to explain all of that, and it can be a very trial and error process, which I don't want to cover. So what we're going to do is, let's see where we are, and we're going to go into lib and identity Martin. Right over here near the CS project, and we're gonna use the sed tool. All right, copy the value. Let's grab sed, right? So you basically start with S. S says what's going to be the next delimiter. We're going to say just /. I think that's pretty much the convention. And we're going to replace this with 4. Okay. The file that this is going to be working on is identity Martin CS_proj. Let's go ahead and run this, and there is the output. So it didn't write the output back into the file, but I mean, we wanted to. After quickly reminding myself how sed works, sounds or looks like I need to use -i flag to say that I want to update it in place, and -e to basically replace it in this file. Okay, so taking a look at this file, whoop-de-doo, it's updated. So perfect. We can go ahead, roll this back. Now we have some kind of command that we can use to set or stamp a version. Once we know how to stamp the version in the CS_proj file, we need to know, well, what do we actually want to stamp there? What you actually want, or let's say what I would recommend is, let's come back here to the workflows, if I can find it. Doesn't know what the page is. Okay, actions. So when you are running your workflow, there's a bunch of variables that are going to be added to your workflow. So here are the variables. For example, things like, where have we been running? So the iteration number, for example, number 2 over here, you can see that, for example, runner image, basically your operating system, there is metadata available about your job or the thing that you're running. So for example, like the commit hash, so when are you triggering this job on this repository, etc. Amongst all of those things, what I'm after, what I want to get is the we're gonna go to GitHub, searching through these GitHub ref name. So that's what I want to grab, the short ref name or the branch of the branch or tag that is that triggered the workflow run. So if I tag a specific commit, it should kick off a run. So instead of manual triggering, what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using tags to trigger, and you're going to see why that can be quite powerful. So anyway, GitHub ref name is what we want to do, and coming back to workflow syntax, we're going to go to events that trigger workflows. We're going to look for, and in here I believe we want to go to release as, or maybe push. So runs your workflow when you push a commit or tag, or when you create a repository from a template. So let's go ahead and find on push tag some kind of version. Let's grab this. We are gonna go to GitHub, publish on. We're gonna put this over here. Our versions look something like this. Or maybe remove the dot, or actually, because, you know, it can be, what's it called, an alpha release, and maybe you want to vary how you release your production releases and how you release your alpha releases. So maybe one should look like this, and the other one should look like yay. Okay, so I'm going to do the same for both. Hopefully this is going to trigger. So this is going to be the update. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna comment out the publish, and as I'm checking out, I'm gonna add a name, test, and this is going to run. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna try to figure out how can I reach the tag name, which is in variables, this GitHub ref name. So if we come all the way up, maybe somewhere over here, we can see that we can specify an environment variable that is global. However, maybe somewhere over here, there will be an example of how to use one of those variables below. And that's not it. And so default environment variables, and they're accessed like this. So let's go ahead, put this over here. We're gonna grab that code and put it over here. And I wanna grab it via ref name. Now I think will be a good idea to get a grasp of how to perhaps use this. So without the .r on the end, and the examples were closer to the top. So let's go ahead and scroll somewhere over here. So yeah, we can try to echo this variable directly. Grab it, not each, but rather echo, place this over here. Double check how it's using it here. You can see that it's putting quotes around it. So for safety, I'm gonna do the same. I gotta stay safe, right? Pressing all the wrong keys. Let's take a look here. This csproj whatever this is, let's go ahead and remove it. We're going to output GitHub tag. Let's go ahead, commit. I'm gonna go to identity Martin csproj. I'm gonna grab this version over here, come back to the browser, and just quickly double check that my workflow has been updated. So it has been. Now, if I come back to code and we can take a look at tags, I can create a new release and put the release over here. So choose a new tag. Let's create a tag that's gonna look something like this. We're going to add. This is going to, we'll basically set it as a pre-production release, give it a release title, and messing up over here. I want it version 4, workflow trigger test. Let's go ahead, just gonna put a couple of X's here, publish. And as I've gone ahead and created this, if we take a look at the actions, this has been triggered automatically. All right, and there we can see it. If we take a look, while that is running, if we take a look at the commits, here, somewhere here, we should be able to see the tag. Maybe if I'm looking from the main, nope. If you're using Azure, what's called Azure DevOps, you will definitely be able to see a tag against a commit, but yeah. So let's come back to the actions. Let's take a look at output GitHub tag. So where we had test, here we can see that it's echoing the tag, right? So that's what we ran, and this is what has been outputted. Now we can combine the two things, the sed and effectively the templating, which is going to give us our desired result. So let's go ahead and place something like version over here, which we can then use to replace this, all right? So again, if I come back over here, grab the sed command, and let's say I'm searching for version, right? Taking a look at this file, it has replaced it, and it actually went ahead and, oh, I didn't mean to delete the line. It went ahead and produced this file for me, which not entirely sure what that is. And that's basically what we want. So let's come back and change this back to version. We're gonna take sed, and we are going to go to publish YAML. We are going to comment out the test that we did over here. We're gonna bring back the publish. We are going to, before we pack, execute the sed. Okay, so name, set version. And by the way, this step is optional. If this type of automation makes you a little bit uneasy, some people will recommend it, some people won't recommend it. And again, the recommendation will come in different ways. The point is that you're using Git to trigger the build process, and the variables are being set correctly. How you achieve that can be done many different ways. So in here, we want to run this command, and the file that we're working on is going to be this file. So it's always worth double checking that this is going to work. So let's make sure we're gonna run it from the root repository, and it has gone ahead and replaced it, and again produces this -e file. But again, it doesn't matter so much because this is happening on the server, and this whatever this file is, I don't think it matters. So anyway, we have produced the version, and a good thing actually about tagging is once you've tagged your build, you can't produce a second similar tag. Okay, so here we have the version. This is going to find the version and put something new in there. Okay, so good thing that I haven't committed this yet. We're gonna take this GitHub version or ref and place this over here. Can now remove the test. So we check out, set version, pack, and publish. This is gonna glob the correct version. And during the packing stage, we will be able to figure out what kind of package it has gone ahead and produced. set version. Let's go ahead and run this or push this. Come back here. Now, if we take a look at the actions, if I go to publish Nuget package, even though I click on the actor, I can't actually run the workflow myself. If I want to run the workflow, I will have to go ahead and tag this, and this will trigger a release. Okay, so if we go to releases, draft a new release, choose a tag, again v11 alpha 0.5, because I need to create a new tag. So test workflow, and maybe publishes to Nuget. Again, set as pre-release. Don't think I need anything else. Let's go set this off. This is gonna kick off the build, and yeah, let's see how this one goes. And we have a failure. So if we take a look at publish, it's gonna say that it's not a valid string. So this v on the end. So how hard is it to trim this v using bash? I don't know. Potentially easy, potentially harder than I care. So what I'm gonna do is, when I'm gonna be drafting my tags, I'm gonna do alpha.4, which is the next package version, which I don't think I have. So yeah, so this hasn't been published, and a tag like this doesn't exist. So you don't need to use the v at the beginning, right? So test publish tag x2. So this is a second attempt. Again, this is pre-release, and let's go ahead and publish this. Take a look at the actions, and obviously the workflow hasn't triggered because it's looking for a tag that's looking like that. So removing the v gives me an error. I don't know if this is a legit error, so we're just gonna see if it explodes or not. So with the changes here, let's go to tags. So I'm gonna grab this number. Can't delete a tag, obviously. Draft a new release. Let's go ahead, place this over here. Or actually, sorry, that was over here. Create a new tag. Set as pre-release again. So publish tag attempt x3. All right, let's go. Take a look at the actions. And actually, it looks like this one just failed straight away. So it looks like that error is indeed valid. Let's listen to writer. So maybe just star any tag that we produce. Let's go ahead and use it. Go ahead, commit this, fix pattern. I think this is attempt 2. And you know, when you're working on a pipeline, I think it's important to know that your commit history and all of this testing is gonna look, you know, a little bit messed up. All right. So we have published this. Let's go. First of all, let's check actions. So fix pattern 2. This has still produced an error, so I don't need to try to re-tag it. Let's quickly take a look at this code that I copied. So workflow syntax for GitHub Actions, and have a look here. And for more information about the globe pattern, let's take a look here. Valid, invalid. Okay, so it looks like actually it just prevents your workflow from running. It looks like this is basically creating an error, so maybe, yeah. So reading documentation definitely does help. All right, let's do this again, but with quotes, right? So this is fix tag pattern 3. Okay, God loves 3. Let's go ahead, push this, come back over here, take a look at actions, and we don't get a compilation error, so this is good. Now we can come back here, go to tags, releases, and let's say draft a new release. Again, this is going to be pre-release. We are gonna do like this, but this is going to be a duplicate name. It's gonna make me type everything out. So I have the urge to autocomplete, but it didn't for me there. So create a new tag. This is attempt number 4. Let's go ahead and publish this. I'm gonna take a look at actions, and it's running. Let's go ahead and see what's going on. So the publish has been successful. If we take a look at the pack, in the logs over here, the package, you can see that it has actually produced the correct package. So over here, then the Martin Alpha 6 new package, all right? And that is what has been published. So if I take a look over here, yeah, again, waiting game, I'm gonna say here refresh and cut the video. Okay, so I mean, Alpha 3 is shown here. You can see Alpha 6 has been submitted by me 4 minutes ago. It's not appearing, but I managed to find it here. So all good. So after some time, it will be available. I'm not going to be sticking around to find out. I mean, we still have quite a few things to do to finish building it. So for now, this is going to be it. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this video and learned a bunch of new things. So how to take your publishing of a package from a manual step to an automated solution, all right? Where the only thing that's really manual is you saying, okay, I am ready to ship this. And here are all the details of what I'm shipping. A record is produced and your package is published. Again, if you have any questions, please go ahead and leave them in the comment section. A very big and special thank you goes out to all of my Patreon supporters. You help me make these videos. This code is available for free. If you would like the source code for all of my previous videos, you will have to support me on Patreon. Even if you're not using the code, please do consider to do so. Again, thank you for watching. Have a good day.